I started walking up the street when all of a sudden I saw what looked like a shadow dart across the road behind a car. And it kind of freaked me out, and I just all of a sudden felt like fear shot through my body, and my feet stopped, and I couldn't go anywhere because I was afraid. And I'd never felt that kind of fear before. So one of the times that I felt like God was really moving, and I could see the instance where it was Him that gave me the peace that I needed at the time. Where we used to live, I used to go walking in the evenings with my dog. One evening I decided that I wanted to go walking, and it was a safe neighborhood. We would see others walking their children in strollers and walking their dogs, and so I felt safe. But at this particular evening, I decided not to take the dog. And I always followed a specific path. And so I was walking that path, and I came to the very last street that I normally walk before I started turning the corner to come back. When I turned the corner and went on that street, all the street lights were out, and so it was very dark on that street. I'm not one to be afraid usually, and so I was like, no big deal, didn't think much of it. And I started walking up the street when all of a sudden I saw what looked like a shadow dart across the road behind a car. And it kind of freaked me out, and I just all of a sudden felt like fear shot through my body, and my feet stopped, and I couldn't go anywhere because I was afraid. And I'd never felt that kind of fear before. It just made me go, am I in trouble? Is something going to happen to me right now? And all these scenarios went through my head of, was that a person? Am I safe? And I just couldn't continue walking. And then a verse that I had been trying to memorize previously to that time came to mind, and it was 2 Timothy 1:7. God didn't give you a spirit of fear, but of power and love and self-control. And I thought to myself that if God didn't give fear, then where did fear come from? I thought it comes from the enemy. And so I usually, it was out of character to speak the word of God out loud, but I did at that time. And I said, 2 Timothy 1:7 says, God didn't give me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. And after I spoke that, a peace came over me, comfort, the fear was gone, and all the street lights came on and lit up the street. A lot of people might say that was just the city not maintaining their lights. But I know that the enemy tries to oppress us with fear and anxiety and things like that. I felt that. Yeah, I didn't feel like it was just this passing thing. I felt like it was something that the Lord gave me the peace and the security to know that He was watching after me, and He cared about even the little things in my life. And so I continued to walk up the street, and I turned and went on the top of the next street to continue my walk, and all the street lights on that street went off. I just always remember that as God's care over me, and that His spoken word is active and can be used to battle the enemy and in circumstances when they're trying to oppress you, when the enemy's trying to oppress you and keep you down and make you afraid. There was another time here at our new house where I was afraid in the evening, and we happened to be doing a Bible study on speaking the word out loud. Everyone was in bed, and all of a sudden all these thoughts of, oh, what if somebody drowns in my pool? What if we're in the middle of nowhere? What if somebody comes and Jim's not here, and he's off on business, and I'm by myself with my daughter? What would I do? And all this stuff. And I just started feeling like I was spiraling in my head about what ifs. At that moment, I used the same verse, and I also prayed out loud, which I don't usually pray out loud, but and I just said, the enemy has no place over our property, over the orchard, over the pool, and I just listed all the places in our home. I think I said something like I claimed Jesus' protection over all these places, and then the peace came again, and I felt good about the house, and I felt like I wasn't as anxious, and that the Lord was there watching over everything and would protect us, and I didn't have to be in fear or worry. And this was probably a little bit after the homeless lady broke in while we were away, and Grace was here by herself, and we had that whole situation, so with the police and the helicopters and everything. So I think I was, it was the enemy's way of just making me fearful that my house wasn't a safe space for my family or for me. And the Lord took care of that, and gave me reassurance that anything that came my way, He'd be there to help me.